Welcome to the case study analysis of Manchester United. I am Brendan Lawler, a lifelong Manchester United fan, and I want to thank you for listening to this presentation today. Manchester United is the most successful club in English football, winning the most domestic league and cup titles, is the third largest in terms of revenue in the world, and arguably the largest brand in sports franchising in the world. However, since the retirement of their all-time great manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, 4 years ago, United's form on the field has slipped, while many domestic and international clubs have surged. This presentation will be an in-depth look at what the club has been doing and what it will need to do to maintain its position as one of the three largest sports franchises in the world. Manchester United's current mission establishes an admirable purpose, covering a diverse range of areas that they strive to excel in. Though these are areas that any organization should strive to succeed in, Manchester United, first and foremost, is a soccer club. The current mission does not drive home the needed focus on their primary product, which is delivering a championship caliber team that plays an attacking, attractive style with both rising and established stars. The current mission might lead one to believe that the club is a traditional business or foundation first, before it is a soccer club. Though it is very much a large global business, the main product of that business should not be camouflaged in the mission. As you first look at the club's vision, strategies, and objectives, you will not find anything inherently wrong with them. In fact, many of their top competitors around the world that have a similar vision, strategy, and objective. That, however, is part of the problem. The vision is vague, and the strategies do not provide a real roadmap to sustain competitive advantage. The current vision is both short and vague. Though short is not a problem unto itself, its vagueness can easily allow the club to be caught up in the short-term results, if being the best isn't happening at the current moment. This short-term focus problem has been a major issue for the club since the retirement of 26-year manager Sir Alex Ferguson. The strategies are on point, but are easily copied by competitors large and small. United was one of the first clubs to introduce modern business practices to what was a small club focus in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The first mover status, coupled with a fantastic on-field product, led them to a huge initial lead over their domestic and European competitors. These strategies now need to be developed further to find new growth opportunities regionally and new avenues to spread their brand. The club has started to do this well, but needs to stay the course and not lose patience with the team's results the way they have over the last 4 seasons, causing a series of stops and starts with new managers and new players that has hindered team development and results. Their objectives are on target, but again, without competing with a world-class team, they will not be able to meet their long-term brand and revenue objectives. This new proposed mission places its primary focus on the on-field success of the team. This proposal addresses the main function of the organization, how it will be performed, who it is performed for, why it is being performed, and delivers a larger purpose than sports towards the end. Manchester United has always been about more than soccer, while always being rooted in their world-class product. This proposed mission honors the uniqueness while maintaining its focus on how to be the best. The specificity of the mission will allow all departments to remember why they come to work every day, and that they are important members of any organization that has been and always will be bigger than them. This sense of purpose and importance is a great motivation from the owner and manager down to the steward and vendors on game day. Every great club has a tremendously passionate fan base, and the mission puts them at the core of why the club does what it does. The club is not seeking to win for the sake of winning, and is not trying to win for the sake of making money. But by tying the fan base and family specifically into the mission, the club recognizes that without this local, national, and international fan base, they would seek to exist. The new proposed vision adds specificity to the vagueness of the current vision. To be the best in England, the club must continue to win titles into the future, so no other club can claim to be the all-time best. To be the best in Europe, the club must first compete in the Champions League annually and win the competition to catch the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona, their two largest international club and business competitors. By being the best at youth development and buying young players in the transfer market, the club can keep down their costs by avoiding the enlarged transfer fees brought about by new billionaire owners willing to pay any price for any player. As well, these younger players would first be United players, connecting the brand of the young stars to the established brand of the historically great club. With success in those areas, the revenue streams will flow like rivers from every corner of the world that can now be accessed with new broadcasting rights and the internet. When you are at or near the top of any industry, everybody below you is a threat. This is even more the case when your industry is sports. Manchester United has been at the top or near the top of English and European football competitions for so long that nearly everybody below them is a threat. That said, there are a few specific threats that must be dealt with ahead of all others, and those are the other quality domestic club teams in the English Premier League. First and foremost is Manchester City. After being bought by the ruling family of Abu Dhabi in 2008, Manchester City has opened a full-out attack on English and European football in Manchester United's literal backyard. The owners of Manchester City have spent billions in the transfer market and youth academies throughout the world and are now the second largest club in England in terms of revenue. They have backed up this investment with Premier League titles and a semi-final run in the Champions League last season. With the world's most successful club manager and 529% growth in their worldwide fan base, Manchester City is easily United's biggest domestic threat. The other major domestic threats are Chelsea FC, Arsenal, and Liverpool FC, who along with Manchester United make up the traditional Big Four clubs of the English Premier League. These clubs have had various different degrees of success, but all have the ability to both win the league and compete well in Europe. Just as important, they also have foreign owners with incredibly deep pockets, experience running professional sports brands in the United States, or both. This money and expertise can allow for access to global markets to spread that brand quickly. Internationally, Real Madrid and Barcelona are the gold standards for soccer clubs on and off the field. Both are consistently winning in Europe and battling each other for domestic supremacy. Both have a player considered to be the best in the world, and both have a roster full of players that have been stars for their countries on the international scene, winning both World Cups and European Championships. Both sit 1 and 2 in the Deloitte Football Money League, sporting the largest revenue streams and the largest following on social media. Both also have the same historic success or more than Manchester United. All of these clubs are competing for the same eyes and dollars of every current and developing soccer fan in every region in the world. Manchester United, however, is in an excellent position to take better advantage of opportunities in these markets than do their competitors. United's first opportunity is to take advantage of the discretionary income of the middle class in the United States and the growing middle classes in India and China that will number in the hundreds of millions over the next 15 years. These are nations with rich sporting histories, with strong cultural ties to England, and United as a brand already has a strong market penetration in those regions. United also lays claim to the largest global fan base at 659 million and plays in the English Premier League, which is the most watched league in the world. With the strengths of United's brand reaching this many people on a daily basis via the internet and social media, and a weekly basis via global broadcasting rights for the English Premier League, means that United has unmatched exposure for partners associated with their brand, like Adidas, Chevrolet, Aon, and DHL, all companies that are looking to expand their brand's global reach as well. Manchester United has a multitude of critical success factors that are listed in the competitive profile matrix on the current slide. 60% of those factors are directly related to the success of the team on the field in the past, present, and future, with the other 40% being made up with factors related to match day, broadcasting, and commercial aspects of the club's operations. As is the recurring theme so far, and will continue to be the theme, United's success must come from developing the most successful and then the most entertaining team on the field product as possible. Though operating in the soccer world, they are also competing in the global entertainment market. Because Disney makes a movie does not mean that people will go see it just because it has the Disney name. The same is the case for Manchester United. They can only remain a global power by being consistently near the top of every important competition. Just as Disney will also not fail because of one flop at the box office, neither will United for one bad season. Wrapping up this analogy, the Disney board is also not firing its CEO and spending hundreds of millions more on new talent on top of the other talent already there with each bad performance at the box office. Every team falters from time to time, and the United ownership must stay the course with a manager they believe in and let that manager shape the on-field success with the talent he deems necessary for domestic and European success. Sir Alex Ferguson did not win the league every year, but he was given the time needed to right the ship and bring the quality back to where it needed to be when the quality did slip. As we will talk about more in future slides, United's ownership must not only get it right on the field, but understand that getting it right is impossible if they consistently rip up one strategy and start from scratch with a different plan under different leadership every time they don't like the short-term results. As you look at this slide, you will see more specifics on the threats and opportunities that Manchester United faces moving forward, many of which have been brought up in previous slides. One factor not brought up specifically yet is the impact of immigration in certain regions that Manchester United would like to expand its brand into. For the U.S. market, there was a growing first and second generation population of Mexican and Central American descent, a heritage that has always embraced the game of soccer. This population has grown up watching one of its heroes, Mexico's Javier Hernandez, play for Manchester United. As this population assimilates into the American culture even more, its youth will also grow up playing video games like EA Sports FIFA 16, where they can pretend to control their favorite teams and stars. On the opposite side of this is the anti-immigrant sentiment in England, expressed in the Brexit vote this summer. With its potential impact unknown, it cannot be a good thing for a British brand that is trying to expand its reach, fight the image that its country does not like foreigners. United's first internal strength is this historic success that its brand represents. Manchester United as a brand in the soccer world is akin to that of Coke and BMW. Seeing their shield and hearing the name conjures up images of champions and stars that represent more than wins on the field. The same way Coke and BMW bring more emotion than simply having a drink or driving a car. United has more domestic titles than any club in England, more FA Cup titles, and the second most European titles. Fans and corporate sponsors want to be associated with winners, and more so winners of epic proportions with deep histories over different periods. The club also has individual stars to sell, going back to the Busby Boys who created the United Way, to individual stars like Sir Bobby Charlton, who helped bring England its only World Cup title in 1966, to world-class players like George Best, David Beckham, as but one of the world-famous class of '92, and current stars like today's Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, and the world's most expensive player in the young Paul Pogba. United has a social media and traditional broadcasting reach that, when combined, is larger than any club in the world. They can present the images and mythos described above to more people every day than any other sporting club. They can bring their fans, their heroes in many different ways, and use both these individuals and the club's historic past to not only sell themselves, but to boost the sales of their corporate sponsors as well. After a time of debt accumulation with the buying of the club by the Glazers, an American family who also owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of the NFL, United has come through that time with a lower debt load and the world's third largest revenue in the soccer business. This financial strength allows them to both take advantage of opportunities in the transfer market and invest in needed youth development while continuing to upgrade their current iconic stadium. The club's largest weaknesses are also all intertwined. These weaknesses start with their on-field performance over the last 4 years. During that time, they have failed to qualify for the Champions League twice, while also failing to advance past the group stage when in the Champions League. They have finished in the top 4 of the Premiership only once, and along the way have gone through 3 managers and hundreds of millions of dollars spent on players in the transfer market. As said repeatedly already, this constant turnover in the manager position, something that obviously did not happen in the 26 years previous, has been brought about by a short-term focus by ownership. This is a dangerous downward spiral followed by more money spent, new strategies, new philosophies that has left the club languishing behind both their domestic and European rivals, and will soon start to impact their corporate deals, as their world record Adidas uniform deal will be reduced by 30% if they fail again to qualify for the Champions League in 2017. This internal factor evaluation displays more specific details on the strengths and weaknesses the club must both take advantage of and overcome. As you can see, their current strengths are primarily financial, in hard currency and in the value of their brand. Brands do not stay strong simply because they once were. However, in a changing fan and viewership environment where fans are beginning to support their favorite players over teams, United as a brand must continue to show success on the field with current and rising stars if they are to maximize their value across their various broadcasting and commercial platforms. As you look at the numbers, the largest total weight has been placed with the managerial changes and the on-field performance. United will always be a soccer team first, and must take care of business on the field before it can worry about business off of it. This can only happen if the proper time and trust is given to the right manager, which they are hopefully in the process of doing this season. The strategies before you are not groundbreaking revelations. They are known to everybody. However, not everybody is able to implement these strategies, let alone implement them well. Egos and personalities often get in the way of their implementation, even if they have the financial resources to be able to try their implementation. For a club like Manchester United, not only are these strategies financially feasible, they have demonstrated their ability to execute them well in the past when they had the right people in the right leadership positions. Appointing a manager with a mutual long-term commitment and an agreement with long-term vision of the club will be the most important step the ownership of Manchester United can take in maintaining their place in the upper echelons of club soccer. The club's two most successful periods coincide with the club's two longest tenured managers. Obviously, these managers are of quality, but neither Alex Ferguson or Matt Busby produced championships in the first few years, and neither took over the year after a championship was won. The club's current manager, Jose Mourinho, is a top-class manager who has won all the best leagues in Europe, including the Premier League, and has won 2 Champions Leagues. However, he has never stayed more than 3 to 4 years at one club and has generally relied on veteran players instead of developing youth. Jose Mourinho certainly has the pedigree to bring success back to United, but it is yet to be seen if he will be given the time to implement his systems with his players. The club currently sits 6th in the Premiership standings, going through the worst 14-game start to a season. Though it's still early in the season, the club has shown improved results lately. Even if he can turn things around and qualify for the Champions League in 2017, Mourinho will have to change his history of only staying at clubs for short stints before moving on. This hire has the potential to work well, as so far many youth players, both from the academy and through transfers, have been given important minutes in important games. This brings us to the next strategy. The club must understand its history and be true to itself by investing in young players in their own academy. The success of Alex Ferguson's teams were built on 6 players from the academy that came up together in 1992, and the transfers of young players like Wayne Rooney and Cristiano Ronaldo as teenagers. This is a cost-effective way to build a team both in short and long term, as these players are cheaper in the short term and, if successful, can bring large cash windfalls in the transfer market, as the examples of the sale of David Beckham and Cristiano Ronaldo to Real Madrid prove. The other part of understanding who you are is understanding who you are not. Many clubs like Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain are known for their Galacticos strategy of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on big-name stars. By developing their own players, the United players are groomed in the United way, never becoming bigger than the club themselves, but giving the club both stars to market and not being controlled by them. Going deeper into the youth development strategy and thinking about market penetration of their brand, Manchester United needs to open youth training centers in India, China, and the United States. This strategy can bring direct benefits to both on and off-field success by bringing the Manchester United product and brand directly to the children and their families around the world. These 3 markets specifically have either well-off middle classes, or in the case of India and China, huge growth potential into the hundreds of millions over the next 15 years. In terms of finding and developing players, these markets provide access to many more potential athletes that would be schooled in the club's ways from a young age. In terms of market penetration, these young children and their families would be exposed to the United brand daily, making them more likely to consume the Manchester United product on TV, the internet, and on social media, as well as through the sale of regular commercial products like jerseys and other memorabilia. This brand penetration will also bring knock-on effects for partners that are also looking to expand their brands into new regional markets. The last proposed strategy is for Manchester United to continue their preseason foreign tours in the United States, but also to expand these tours to India. For the last decade, the world's top clubs have been going on preseason tours of mainly the United States and China to play in front of non-traditional fan bases. The purpose is self-evident. These tours provide the opportunity for brand expansion into different markets and to build their fan base who will continue to consume their product in different ways going forward. Manchester United needs to be the first to set up a tour through India. With the Indian population in England, the current corporate sponsorships with strong ties to the area, the fact that English is spoken throughout the subcontinent, and other ties dating back to English colonialism in the region, India is a prime emerging market for English sports particularly. India has a tremendous hunger for the traditional English sport of cricket and has numerous cricket stadiums of over 50 and 60,000 seats that can easily be used for soccer matches. This is also another way to further the previously discussed strategies of youth development and open club academies in India's massive cities. These proposed objectives are tied directly to the strategies proposed in previous slides. These objectives are both easily measured and easily knowable by all in the club, making it easy for all divisions in the organization and their employees and leadership to understand how they will be evaluated. The objectives and policies are direct and straightforward, and they are also tied directly to how long-term success in the field can drive overall commercial success, because without the former, we will not have the latter. Strategy review will take place on a regular basis, but not for the purpose of measuring short-term success. All review and evaluation will take place with the vision of being the best long-term, even if that means the club is not at any given moment. The evaluations of on-field success will be through more than the standings of the league tables. With the advent of advanced metrics, it is easier to analyze the metrics that minimize the role of randomness in looking simply at results and goals. These are available for individual players as well and are more position specific, which can be read in conjunction with the overall playing style of the team. This provides a much better insight into the overall play of teams and individuals. The use of a balanced scorecard will also help us think in broader terms of how the club is impacting its employees, its fan base, its partners, as well as the overall bottom line. There is no doubt, given United's history and global reach, that on-field success will bring great benefits to its fan base throughout the world. This concludes our case study analysis of Manchester United. I would like to thank you for your time. And I hope that maybe I've converted one or two people into a Manchester United fan. Thank you very much.